poppin', YouTube fam? Alright, I'm making a really special video about a really special topic I like to call addiction. I literally have been clean for about 7-8 weeks from this like whole, like a 6-year-long addiction to opiates, heroin, pain pills, whatever that may express itself like to you. It's interesting, you know. I got some really good stuff to say, like maybe some stuff you ain't never heard before, maybe, you know what I'm talking about, So here we go, kick it off right here. So let's start with your whole purpose for coming here was to get addicted to something, yo. It's literally the biggest lesson you can ever learn on this planet. The best thing you can ever master is physical desire to anything and everything. Literally, it's this huge dualistic like tug of war between your mental mind and your spiritual mind, which is one's immortal and it's not in air. The other one is very mortal, will succumb to entropy like everything else physical, and it is in air. So take a breath. Okay, your thoughts, they're not your own. Let's just put it that way, straight up, they're not your own. You are being manipulated all the time. Something's trying to manipulate you. This is why all the religious books all say you have to find a way to crucify the physical self, the ego, the false ego. Once you do that, and what that literally means is no longer do you look for anything outside of yourself to bring you happiness, right? Anything outside of you that you depend on to be happy is literally going to be the source of your suffering. So the moment you're like, oh, I need Jessica to be happy, and when Jessica disappears, oh, I gotta find a way to be happy. Like, no, that sucks. Same thing with addiction. It's like, there's these fourth dimensional type entities that are more like thought forms, right? Anytime you find someone depressed, anytime you find somebody that's constantly thinking negatively, anytime you find like somebody walking the wrong, there's only 2 paths, there's not 3, right? You can't kind of like be going back to totality, right? It's not so much that opposites attract, it's that things that are together naturally in nature and then separated attract, right? So if naturally, spiritually, we're both energies, masculine and feminine, and one of them splits as we incarnate here, that would be why we long for the other energy, because we're used to having it. Make sense? So back to these thought forms, okay? These things cannot make you do anything, so you're still responsible for everything you do, but what they can do is make you really good at getting drugs, and make you, every time you start having that desire, you can be sure one of those fuckers is creeping into your head, because they literally need negative emotion. Like, it's important to understand that when you're in any mood, you're putting out like an emotional signature, right? And if you're mad, it's huge. If you're just calm, you're not excited, you're just balanced, it's like nil, it's nothing, right? And being aware of these things is way better than not, kinda. Because if you hear about it, then you can believe in them and then they can affect you. But if I tell you the only way they can affect you is through believing in them, then maybe they can't, I don't know. That's what they are though, they're thought forms, and they're literally the whatever source is, whatever you are in here, they're the opposite of that. Because when source comes here, when you come here to have an experience, you need something to make free will more like free feeling, like you got more. If there wasn't temptation in any way, it'd be really hard to prove anything to yourself, character-wise. Like, you call somebody up, you're like, yo, if you're trying to manipulate them, if you're trying to get drugs, if you're trying to get anything that's gonna help these things on their mission, which is death or suicide, right? Just like we feed off apples, which would really be like a condensed form of sunlight in like apple or fruit or whatever. These things feed off negative emotions and thoughts because that's what they are. So schizophrenic people that hear voices, they're intimately tied into these things. They're not hallucinations. They literally, hallucinations would not have goals, they wouldn't be goal oriented, and they would not be negative every single moment. They literally, if you know anyone that's schizophrenic, these voices will literally rip this person apart all day, making them feel so guilty and ashamed of who they are. And literally, they'll just get super tired because it'll just take that from them, that energy, and they'll just be like, crash out. Like, yo, it's crazy. And the doctors are like, yo, you're just hallucinating. Yo, hallucinating? I know better, I know different. So, I mean, take it for what you want, but these things affect everybody. Just not as intimately, because people who are schizophrenic have more of a veil that's down, I think. They can be tempted by these things way more, right? And this is how real they are. Like, you literally think it's you. It doesn't have a different tone, it doesn't have a different voice. It's literally just trying to get you to do something you feel bad about so that it can stay alive, so it can eat, so it can harvest off you. So it's literally just the Creator's thought, or our thought. Like, when you're a Christian, you go into the church and they're like, yo, everything is demons, and yeah. Well, literally what they just did is they made a demon, because it's the moment that person believes in demons, they're able to experience them, because just how it is, yo. And that thought form can only exist until you dismiss it and say, you know what, that doesn't serve me anymore. The moment you stop letting it affect you, it does, because it only exists through thought. So anyway, important thing to know, really important thing to know. And then the addiction thing, like, this is where you're gonna build the most character. Being addicted to anything physically is an error. It's in error, right? Like, anytime you're saying, I need this physical substance to be happy, that's the complete opposite of truth and love. That's the complete opposite. Anytime, if you want to know if these things got a grip on anything or anyone, look to see if the person is stuck in a cycle, right? That's exactly how you'll know, because if they're not walking the path back to source, that's the only guidance they'll have that can keep these things from completely tearing them apart, right? Mentally and emotionally. Literally, like, you don't have three options, there's two. There's this way and this way. And the other way is like complete slavery to a substance, to physical desire. And these things will let you succeed. Like, they'll let you score the drug. They'll even help you do it. I mean, as long as you're staying on that railroad track and the train's coming right at you, they'll make sure you get your footing. Just as long as you run into that train in the end, right? So, because these things are thought forms, the more you believe in them, the more negative, the more you feel negativeness, the more you feel depressed. That's in error. There is nothing that you should ever be upset or depressed about that's related to source. There's always something you need to check, something you need to look at, because if you're ever feeling that way, it's whack, it's messed up. You shouldn't be doing that. You have a belief that's not in line. You have something you're buying into that's not real. And they take full advantage of it. And the more depressed you are and the more negative you are, the more you're pretty much, you cannot feel depressed and negative and have negative beliefs without making these things stronger. That's literally what they are. They literally are the same thing that those feelings are made of. So the more you feel that way, the more they really do exist and really can affect you, and the more they will. So the whole thing about the physical mind and your brain and your immortal mind, which is like the spirit, it's this tug of war. And until you literally take up the cross and crucify all that shit, you'll be tempted. And you're gonna get help. I mean, you always have help. When you come to this planet, right? The whole thing is, you're literally back over the veil. You're still there. You're still in spirit, but you're also, a small part of you is here in the body having experiences, right? And it's like a game of Marco Polo. Like, you know exactly why you came here, and you are going to send signals through the heart, through desire, through pain and through desire, actually, because if something isn't serving you, you're going to feel bad about it. But if something is serving you, you're going to feel good about it. So this aspect of you that's playing Marco Polo with you, it's literally your lifeline, literally to guide you. It can only help you if you're thinking the right thoughts and you have the right intentions, right? Because you're an immortal and there's no time, it really isn't that big of a deal if you suffer the whole time you're here, because it's just lessons. Nothing is not a lesson to the soul. Information is value neutral. Something is either telling you what you do want or telling you what you don't want, which in turn is going to bring you to what you do want. So your higher self knows that. But once you intend to be helped, and once you know that you have this whole army here, really, they can come and they can help you, but you have to believe in it, like as much as you believe in gravity. Like, that's one thing I realized, is the more you believe, like, you have to really believe in stuff to see differences, like really, like with all your heart. People think they believe in stuff. There's a big difference between what I know now and what I thought I knew. Like, people that are like, oh yeah, Jesus is in my heart. You think so. You think that. I promise you, you think that. But until the Creator really comes in, that's when there's nothing you don't know. Everything is clear, you understand everything, and your whole intention from then on out becomes, how can I help? That's it. How can I serve the next person I meet? Because you really understand that they are your reflection, they literally are you. So if you're helping them, you're helping you, and that whole golden rule starts to make a lot of sense. So anyway, guys, basically the addiction is necessary. It's necessary for you to go through something and have beat it than to have never started too. So that lesson is never gonna go away. And nothing is a rite of passage like quitting an addiction. Like, that's the biggest thing you can ever do. So congratulations, stick with it, yo. Once you stick with it a little bit and you learn some of these fundamental truths, you'll understand how you're never going back that way. Because, I mean, constantly consuming, constantly overstimulating, it just leads to suffering, yo. The balance is always coming. Nobody gets away with anything. If it's too overstimulating, balance is on the way, yo, get ready. If it's whatever it is, if it's not balanced, balance is coming. Just like a lightning bolt in the sky, right? You have this weather when they're like unbalanced, hot and cold, starts like swirling around, and then you get the balance. Instantly it just balances out all that energy. If it's true in one place, as above, so below, it's true everywhere, right? In some form or another. So, wholeness and balance, vibrations to y'all. Remember, the worse your addiction is, the more you're gonna be able to inspire somebody, right? So, the worse your addiction was, the better your story is, and the more you understand how it affected you. Like, especially people trying to quit that get back into drugs, it's very important that you're not harsh on yourself, because you're gonna learn a lesson each time you do quit, and it's gonna make you stronger the next time. And as long as you have that desire to quit, you're gonna. So anyway, if you guys have any questions about any of this, like, let me know. And I hope somebody got something out of this, yo. It's hard to, like, when you're in a position to help a lot of people that these things feed off of, they do everything they can to make sure that the message doesn't flow really well. So this is all like personal experience. Like, it sounds weird me saying that. Usually when I'm talking, it's like a complete connection. Like, I'm basically just translating vibration through source. That's it. And that's how I say the right things usually. But I can tell this is completely just me and my experiences. So, yo, I hope you got something out of this. And have the rest of your Sunday evening. Like, enjoy it, yo. You're free, you're clean. You're not gonna pass out and come to. You're gonna go to sleep and wake up for the first time, yo. Gucci.